Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Best Phone Plans Podcast. This is episode 5. I'm Stetson, and with me, as always, is Dennis. Dennis, how are you doing today?
As always, my friend, we're doing well. How about yourself, man?
Great to hear. I'm doing mighty fine myself. So for this episode, I'd just like to provide a quick outline. What we're going to be doing is talking about ways to reduce your cell phone bill in 2021. We're going to be talking about some fun topics and some news, and then we'll be ending the show with all Patreon and Super Chat questions. And we actually got a really good one today, so I'm excited for that. So make sure you stick around. But yeah, Dennis, let's just kind of dive right into it with ways to reduce your cell phone bill in 2021. I feel like, 2020 was kind of a stressful year. 2021 already seeming to be a little bit stressful as well. And finding ways to save money is always a good thing. So, where do you think, we should start with this?
I think the first thing we should talk about is device payments and just costs that don't actually have to do with actual cell phone service. Because I feel like that's the biggest expense for a lot of people.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, what would that include? That would be like maybe device financing, maybe insurance plans.
Yeah, insurance plans, upgrade plans, old leasing plans on like the old Sprint plans, just anything that gets you roped into you not owning something and having to pay that extra 15, 20, $30 per line on your bill. That is the first target of mine and the easiest way to help you save like a lot of money.
Yeah.
And we should propose some alternatives for people to that.
Absolutely, yeah, so, let's maybe just talk about device financing, specifically, and then maybe we can do, like, insurance plans and whatever after. For me, device financing, I'm usually very against it, and there's one specific, category of device financing I'm against, and it's the upgrade plans. For example, let's take this isn't really from a carrier, but I know, like, T-Mobile has actually, I don't know what T-Mobile offers.
The
They
jump program.
Yeah, this is that still available?
It's been modified and tweaked, but I believe they have some iteration of it still. Yes.
Okay, so we'll just call this like a broad category of the financing plans designed to allow you to upgrade early. And the reason I'm not a fan of these plans is typically the agreement is structured such that, let's say it's 24-month financing, that's typical period, right? But you're paying 1/24th of the value of the phone, typically in these agreements. So by the end of 12 months, when you're ready to upgrade, you have paid off 50% of the value of the phone. And then you trade in your device that basically clears out the remaining device payments that you had to make for it. And then you get a new device and you're reset with the device payments you need to make for that. However, the caveat and the problem is 50% of the device is more expensive than what you could have gotten if you had purchased the phone outright and then resold it and use that money to then buy a new phone. So if you purchase your phone outright, let's say it's an iPhone. You got an iPhone 11 last year. It was $700. You sold it for maybe 500 or 550, and then you use that money to buy the new phone. That ends up being significantly cheaper than paying like $300 or $400 per year to lease your device. So that's my take on that.
I agree. And also, it's also worth mentioning, Stetson, as you were talking about selling your older phone, is that oftentimes you can get significantly better deals if you buy a used phone off like the third hand market. Like when
Yeah,
people like Stetson sell their phones, right? An iPhone 11 is still great. Like there's the only thing it's really missing is 5G, which, as we've seen from testing, yes, 5G is making a difference, but it really depends on the market. And it depends on what you're connecting to. Like it's not the end of the world if you don't have that feature, right? But
absolutely.
I'm seeing iPhone 11s go for like $350, on like eBay sometimes, or even on Craigslist in my local market. I've seen them go for even cheaper. Which that, if you're someone like that, like buys an older phone, you can use that iPhone for probably another 3-4 years before you have to upgrade it. You know what I mean? And you're
It's
still
so true.
getting
I think Apple's doing a fantastic job with the longevity of their devices. Really, the only thing that degrades is typically battery. I think we've reached a sort of a plateau in the last couple of years where device performance is basically the same. Maybe save some camera improvements and things like that. But the overall, like you're opening your email app the same speed, you're sending messages, like everything you need is there and everything works really, really well. The only thing that may degrade is the battery, and you can actually typically get that replaced for a reasonable cost.
yeah, isn't
And
it like $25 or something with Apple?
yeah, it depends if you have Apple Care or if you go with kind of a different insurance policy, but still, that's one of the most affordable parts of the phone to replace. And you're getting such a great value to begin with that, even if you only keep it, you buy a gently used phone, you keep it for 2 years, that's still such a tremendous value in comparison to getting like a brand new flagship phone that's super expensive. Like you're really just you're getting such a sweet deal. And Samsung phones and Android phones in particular, because there's so many, they lose their resale value so quickly, which is bad if you're someone like me who always buys the new one and then has to resell it a year later. I think my S20, I bought it for like $1,200, and you can get them now for like 650, which is insane just a year later. But even like an S10, I think is like around 300 or $350, which is such a good value for what was essentially a flagship phone just a couple years ago.
Right. And on that note too, you don't even have to buy used. I mean, just look at, we talked about this last week's episode, but like AT&T is doing some pretty significant discounts on new iPhone 11s anyway. So just buying 1 year behind, you can save a lot of money, and it's like you're still getting an upgrade over whatever you had previously. So it's still a win for you. And
Absolutely.
and yeah. Um but basically, long story short of that discussion is you guys should stop financing your phones. It's kind of a
Yeah,
ripoff.
that's how I feel too. And I will say, like, if you choose to purchase your phone outright, what I'm a big proponent of for the channel with all my videos, you buy your phone outright, you can then choose any plan you want, right? This suddenly makes you eligible for like Visible's $40 unlimited plan, literally saving over $400 per year compared to a single line on Verizon's Play More or Do More unlimited plan, which are $80 per month. Same thing goes on the T-Mobile network. Instead of paying $70 a month for Magenta for one line, you buy your gently used phone, you get a great deal on that. You switch over to a plan from like Mint Mobile where you're paying it's $30 a month, excuse me, $30 a month for a 35 gig plan. That's going to meet the needs of like 90% of users out there and save you over, I think it's $600 per year, which is just insane. So
Yeah.
that's kind of the thesis that I have around, how to get great value on your service, buy your phone outright, get an affordable plan to meet your needs. And typically the MVNOs, the prepaid plans, deliver a better value than the postpaid plans from the major carriers. Depends on your area, though. Depending on network congestion, you may want that priority data. But I think for most people, especially on the AT&T and T-Mobile networks, I really do feel that, going with an MVNO, going off contract, I mean, it's not really a contract anymore, but just getting a more affordable plan and buying your phone outright is the way to go.
Especially because too, when you buy your phone outright, a lot of times carriers will give you Visa cards when you bring your own phone over. Like,
I think Visible was doing that for a while. You got a $200 prepaid MasterCard if you switched.
Visible was doing it. Xfinity is doing it right now. Like, you get a $50
Oh,
Visa
shoot.
card
Yeah,
per
you're right.
you get a $50 Visa card per line that you bring over, and that stacks with an online offer they're doing where if you get like their blast internet and above, you get an additional like $150. So like having your own phone basically to bring around is really great because now you're actually getting paid to switch over, which is great, instead of being like, here's my old phone and then doing this whole trade-in deal, and in the end you're just paying more anyway. Because like you were saying, postpaid carriers anyway are typically like $30 more expensive than a prepaid comparable option.
Right,
So
yeah, for single lines especially, like, I wanna emphasize that. I think if you have a family plan, it could be a little bit different, but yeah, I mean, when you own your device too, like, anytime there is a promo and you're ready to switch, like, you can basically take advantage of all the promos and, switch carriers as you see fit, or maybe if your usage changes, you're not locked into an affordable plan, like, you can bump up, "Alright, I need something more premium," or you're like, "Hey, I'm not using this unlimited plan, let me switch to something more affordable." Like, I just feel the flexibility that owning your own phone offers you is so huge and so important.
especially
Dennis,
if you oh
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You want to finish your thought there?
yeah, the last thing I was just gonna say was, especially if you travel too. I mean, we talked about this a couple episodes ago too, but when I lived in South Korea for a month, one of the things I did with my unlocked phone was I just bought a SIM card from a local carrier in that country versus paying like all the fees, which that wouldn't have been an option to me if I was still financing a phone from like Verizon, where now it's carrier locked. But that was the one thing I was going to say on that. Sorry.
Exactly. Such a great point. My next question for you, Dennis, is what's your take on insurance plans, insurance policies? How should we be protecting our phones?
So I'm a firm believer that insurance is good for certain things in life, like healthcare, but paying insurance on a phone is usually just not a good deal because typically speaking, like I'm going to use the iPhone 12 as an example. To get
Sure.
insurance on an iPhone 12, I know it's $15 per month typically for most places. Um, Now, an iPhone 12 goes for around, we'll say 850, just to make it even number. Let's just say it's $850 to get an iPhone 12, right?
Yep.
Well, you're paying towards the phone. You're basically double paying towards the phone each month. So when you reach that 12-month point, if you hadn't had the insurance, you probably could have had the phone paid off at anyway, like at that point anyway. And if
That's
you
yeah.
and and if you're someone that breaks your phones, if you look at like the fine print on these insurance policies, which they all go through the same like third party, like all the carriers use the same third party insurance company to handle the claims. But if you read the fine print, even if you break the phone, you still have to pay a deductible oftentimes to get the phone replaced. And it's not even going to be new. It's going to be like a refurbished model. Like it'll be like $200 to replace like a refurbished phone. Or if you crack the screen, you still got to pay $30 to get it fixed. Basically, what I'm getting at is by the time you're likely to break your phone, you probably would have been better off just getting something new anyway. And if you're worried about something small like a screen crack, there's plenty of third party like fixing places that will probably charge you, I mean, like $50, but how often are you actually cracking your screen? I feel like you could probably get away with just a nice solid OtterBox case. And if you really have to, maybe a tempered glass screen protector, and you're probably going to be just fine. Like phones have gotten a lot more durable and
Yeah, I
basically,
mean, you
yeah,
can basically just get a case, a screen protector, call it a day. The amount of money you're saving by not having insurance will basically add up over time to, if your phone does break or something does happen, it'll probably be cheaper to just like purchase last year's gently used model or something like that, and not have to really worry about it. I guess my take is usually I feel like the carriers are more expensive. I remember when I was a Sprint customer, I think they added some insurance policy. It was like $20 a line or something like that. And really, that was just crazy expensive. When I actually like going with the manufacturers directly for insurance claims. So if Google offers something, if Samsung offers something, Apple is their Apple Care program. Like if you do want insurance and you feel like that's something you want, then I would go directly with manufacturer as opposed to going from the carrier, because I think the carrier is using Dennis, you mentioned like
assurance.
yeah, like Insureon or like some third party site, and you get a refurbished phone anyway. It's typically not a great experience. You have to pay a deductible on top of the monthly payments. So I think my flatmate actually cracked the glass on his iPhone 11 Pro Max, and on top of the insurance that they were paying per month, it was like $250 to get it fixed. And I think 1 year of like $10 a month is another $120. You're looking at like $360. That's like right in line with, all right, maybe I'll just keep this or like sell it for the current value it has, and then buy a new phone or get something else. So
Not to mention the opportunity cost. I mean, if you have an insurance policy, a lot of times they make you send the phone back before they issue you the new one.
yeah,
You're
so
going
without a
like,
phone.
yeah, you're going like 2 weeks without a phone, which I know this is gonna sound cheesy as ever, but time is money. Like the amount of phone calls that would have got me some money that I would have lost by not having my phone far outweigh me just buying a new phone and replacing it if something really did happen, right? And honestly, if I know that I'm someone that's gonna be breaking phones pretty regularly, like let's just say I did some type of construction job or something, I would probably stick away from like the $1,500 phone, right? I'd probably buy something that's like $500, like a one
Yeah,
point.
yeah, and this kind of dovetails actually into the financing discussion we had at the beginning, where I feel like sometimes the financing agreements can make it feel like you can afford a phone that you may not want to afford. Like, I'm looking at the iPhone 12 right now, and Apple's advertising it as from $33.29 a month. But this is an $800 phone, right? So if you don't have the $800 right now to purchase this phone, then I like don't do it. And even though the financing makes it seem super affordable, like of course I can spend the $30 a month. I would really encourage you to make sure you can afford the full upfront payment before you sign any financing agreement whatsoever, and make sure you're buying devices you can afford. Like, and maybe it's worth it saving up, going with a budget model for a couple of years, saving on your cell phone bill, saving that money, letting it pile up, and then splurging on maybe a new flagship device you really want. That was kind
Especially, oh, sorry.
well, that was just kind of my approach.
And I was just going to add on to that, especially too when we were talking about the upgrade programs. like if you get into one of those finance agreements where you're doing the upgrades, let's just say you did damage your phone, you would have to pay to fix it anyway before you could even trade in to do the upgrade anyway. Like you just
I
locked yourself
forgot
into a
about that.
pigeonhole.
Oh, that really stings. I know with Apple, they include Apple Care, which makes the monthly, like your monthly payment actually increases because of that. But it's, yeah, you're right, Dennis. You still have to pay either the 30 or I think it's maybe $90 deductible on, depending on the scale of the damage. So it really
Bas-
just adds up.
Basically, the only time insurance makes sense is if you're buying like a very expensive phone and you're breaking that phone like 3 times a year, 4 times a year. Like that's the only time where I can say like, okay, you're a klutz. I gotcha. That's the one and only time I can think insurance might make sense. Because at the end of the day, insurance is you betting against yourself. That's the only way that you win the insurance game. You're betting against yourself that you're going to basically mess up enough times that you're walking away with the win. But there's so many caveats with these insurance policies and so many headaches that people really don't want to think about that I'm very like anti-insurance policy.
Yeah, yeah. I think, hey, getting a good case, honestly, the problem with phones, they break when you drop them. So you really just want to prevent the drop. That's what you want to prevent. And I feel like if you get a case that's grippy, that's tactile, that helps prevent the drop, and then is protective in a case where you do drop it, I think that, $50 on a case, which is more expensive than it used to be for sure, but you pair that with a glass screen protector, and I think you're really looking at a good value for protection on something that'll last you a while.
And
Um,
and I'll just say Stetson, I don't even rock a like knock on wood. I've never cracked a screen, but I don't even rock a screen protector. Like I literally just buy a thin and light case, usually from
yeah,
the
for the
manufacturer,
grip, right?
and that's about it. And I'll just say, like, I've never cracked the screen, thankfully. And honestly, one other point I was just going to mention is when it comes to insurance, what you got to remember, people, is you insure things that are actually valuable, things that incur value. Phones are like a boat
Oh,
or a
they
car.
depreciate.
Yeah, they literally depreciate like the minute you buy it. So is it really worth insuring this thing? Because it's not actually worth much. Um, so
Yeah.
I will just say though, there are, if you get like an insurance policy that has other perks, like say for example, data recovery or something, like other services related, then that might change up the deal. But again, long story short, guys, don't get insurance. That's an easy way to save money.
Yeah,
But
it really does depend. I mean, I want to give a shout out actually to live listener David Hall, who's joined us on the YouTube live stream of this podcast episode. He was saying Apple Care actually got him a new iPhone 12 Pro, which is great. And that's one example where it can make sense. And that is, again, going directly with the manufacturer. But I think to our point that going with some of the policies from the carriers typically just it ends up adding up. A lot of people have older devices that aren't even worth that much anyway. Like I remember my flatmate was telling me, I think his dad's on a business plan and they were insuring different phones, but they're like 2 or 3 year old devices at this point, and they're paying like $15 a month for insurance when that really just adds up, and you could just buy and upgrade to a new phone itself. So that's that. Dennis, I think another great way to reduce your plan is actually getting a plan with the data amount you need, right? So, how much data do you feel like people need? Do you think people know how much data they need off the bat?
I definitely don't think people know what they need. And then as far as how much do I think they need? Well, okay. How much do I think they need? I actually think people could get away with like probably like 5 gigs of data, maybe
Yeah,
less.
that sounds good.
How much do they want? I feel like people,
Unlimited.
yeah, like how much do they want because they don't want to worry about it? They probably want like unlimited or 20 gigabytes plus.
Yeah,
Um,
so I think our third tip here is to get a data plan that meets your needs. And, it kind of depends what your specific needs are, but there are studies that are being done. Cisco has an annual report that I've referenced a couple times, and their annual report shows that only 36% of people, so that means 64% of people out there, average consumers, use less than 10 gigs per month. Okay. And then if you jump up to the next tier, that's 20 gigs. Only 18% of people use more than 20 gigs of data per month. So that means 72 people, or is that 82 people? Shoot, 82 people, 82%, excuse me, 82% of consumers out there are using less than 20 gigs of data. So you're going to be totally fine with pretty much any plan that's between like 10 to 15 to 20 gigs of data, based on reports. And you can use your phone exactly how you're using it now. You can be streaming music, you can be watching videos, and you can be doing things like that. But there are also ways to reduce your data usage if you want to try and cut down and go with even a lower gig plan. I was actually on a 3 gig plan for a while. So yeah, Dennis, how can people try and reduce their usage? I have some tips here too if you run out.
Yeah, I mean, three super easy things that you can do. And I know these are going to sound like obvious, but one is take advantage of Wi-Fi whenever you have it. I mean, when you're at home, there's no point using your cell phone data when you got a good, reliable Wi-Fi connection. I mean, you're paying good money for it. And when you go out and about, take advantage of, the public Wi-Fi sometimes. I mean, like if you're a Comcast customer, Comcast gives you free Wi-Fi hotspots all over the place, and they're relatively secure. And if you are worried about doing something that's sensitive, like banking, I highly recommend just using like a VPN or something.
Yeah,
But
shout out to the affiliate ExpressVPN. You can sign up expressvpn.com/Stetson if you're interested in getting 3 months free. Little plug there for an affiliate partner.
but take nice one, nice one.
Thank you, thank you.
But take advantage of free Wi-Fi. Basically, I mean, Wi-Fi is pretty ubiquitous. Pretty much every bar or water hole or anywhere you pretty much go has Wi-Fi pretty much available at this point. So take advantage of free Wi-Fi. That's number one. Number two is that when you're watching video content, right? Because video is typically the largest data consumption you're going to probably do on a phone if you're just a normal person. Instead of blaring it in full like 4K glory, right?
The
Maybe just settle
dream.
with 720p or even
Even
480p.
480p. I mean, you can. I've done side by side tests, and side by side, you can tell the difference. But if you're watching something on your phone, right? First of all, you put your phone down. It's a small screen. You put it like a foot away from your arms length away, and all of a sudden, it looks great at 480p, right? Just because of how dense the pixels are at that distance. And I don't think you notice. And if you're watching content on your phone, like you're not in it for that theatrical experience. That's what your home TV, home entertainment system, whatever you have, that's what that's for. So if you're, streaming stuff on the go, drop it down to 480p. I would even suggest if you have Wi-Fi at home and you know you're going to need music or maybe you enjoy watching YouTube videos, grab YouTube Premium, download your content for offline playback, download your Spotify playlist for offline playback, and that's going to save you, a couple megabytes when you would have been streaming that otherwise. So,
yeah, I mean, a lot of apps do have offline downloads. Google Maps is another one. I mean, just like I can honestly tell you, I have my whole Spotify library downloaded to my SD card on my phone, and I never, ever use data when listening to music. Like, honestly, I have an unlimited plan. I stay under 2 gigs of data per month at this point. So I get the $10 kickback.
Dennis, you are our target audience. You could be saving money by reducing your plan.
I definitely could, but I already told you about how I'm grandfathered in.
I know. You have such an amazing deal. I know, and I respect what you're doing. But yeah, for anyone else out there, like really, there are ways to reduce your data usage. Downloading content on Android phones who have external SD cards, that's amazing. I wish iPhones had that. And yeah, switching to a plan that maybe has a lower tier data and just trying it out. And that's the thing with cell phone plans. Like you can switch every month based on what meets your needs. And I think that's a great way to try and save some money because it does add up. These monthly costs, even if it's 10 to 20 bucks, like that adds up to, a couple $100s a year. And at the end of the year, it does make a difference. You have some extra cash. Maybe you put that towards a new phone. Maybe it's a vacation. Maybe it's something else you're saving up for. And that's what we're going for here. We're like, we want you to save money so you have more resources to put it towards things you enjoy. And that's kind of the point. I'll also mention while we're here that there are tools and settings in iOS and Android that can help you. Android users especially, there's a settings where you can go in and you can monitor your data usage. You can set actual limits so your phone will just shut off cellular data. That's really helpful. You can set warnings if you want to just kind of more proactively track it. And you get a great chart of your data usage. I actually love that a lot. On iPhone, Dennis, what would you say the status is on iPhone for data usage?
iPhone is a little bit lacking in how advanced you can get, but I know they do have like a reduced data usage mode, so that way like apps aren't constantly doing like their background checks and like the background trying to pull stuff, which
Yep.
can work well, but I will just say in my experience of using it, it kind of broke Snapchat, for example. I didn't end up getting notifications from people. So maybe take it more granular and pick particular apps that you don't use. Like, for example, does Facebook really need to be constantly checking your background usage all the time? I'll just use
Definitely
that one as
not.
an example. So there's things that you can do there. I mean, at the end of the day, basically what just become it's like a lifestyle choice, right? Like when people tell you to lose weight, right? It's not like one particular fad diet that you can do. You have to like change your lifestyle up a little bit. And I basically it's the same way with data usage. It doesn't require huge changes. Little things go a very long way. But if you can become what I like to call data conscientious, just be mindful of the fact that, you know, maybe I don't need to watch this 1 hour Netflix movie when I'm not on my not on my Wi-Fi, right? Maybe I can do something else, right?
Yep.
Maybe read a book when on a plane, for example, or just do different things, and you can easily reduce your data habits very quickly. Like I can honestly tell you, like I said, I use less than 2 gigs of cell phone data now at this point on my cell phone plan,
Because
and
we're on Wi-Fi most of the time, I think is
it's
right.
yes, it's because I'm on Wi-Fi like 80% of the time now. And when I'm not, the things that I'm doing are just browsing Reddit, which uses barely nothing, sending work emails, which uses barely nothing. And the only thing I really just don't do anymore is just watch like full resolution YouTube, unless it's something I download, like a podcast that I knew I was going to listen to anyway. So
Yeah, yeah, and there's one setting for iPhone users, there's a toggle for Wi-Fi assist, and I suggest you turn that off. You can find it just by searching in your settings app. That typically allows your phone to use cellular data when Wi-Fi signal is poor, but you wanna turn that off so that your phone actually does try and use Wi-Fi, so it helps reduce your cellular data usage. And you can also on iPhone just turn off data for specific apps if you want, and there are ways to manage your data. People don't really, I think, enjoy doing that, which is why a lot of people can enjoy getting with an unlimited data plan. But as I talked about, their reports, Statista had a chart that projected the average cellular data usage would be about 8.9 gigs in 2021 for the average consumer. And I think people may use less than they think. So I would encourage you to try it. You know, hopefully you found these tips helpful. Dennis, is there anything else you may want to talk about for how to reduce your cell phone bill from these major providers?
yeah, I want to just leap onto one more thing, and it's for those people out there that do have to have postpaid priority data. I think we should talk about some things they can do to at least get better rates with the postpaid carriers.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. What are some tips for this? I typically sign up for the prepaid carriers, so I'm actually less familiar with this. What are your tips for postpaid subscribers?
So, a couple tips that I have. One is look into different discounts that postpaid carriers have. Like, are you military? Is your spouse military? You know, a lot of companies do military discounts. You know, we talked about FirstNet before, right? Look into employee discounts. A lot of employers will have deals with a particular company where you get like special rates. Like my dad, for example, you know, before we got the discount because of his firefighting stuff, used to work for another job and he got a discount with AT&T from that, and it was like 22%. I know with my company, if I wanted to get Verizon postpaid, which I never will, but if I wanted to, I would get a discount. So just look at like employer discounts, stuff like that. Also look at like low income things. There's a lot of low income programs out there, and carriers don't usually market us too much, but they usually have some types of programs for like low income individuals on like Lifeline and different stuff like that that are kind of hidden. So know about the discounts is one of them. Two is know what the carriers are offering new customers if you are an existing customer, so you can call and haggle. Like if you know what they're offering is like some sweet deal, 4 lines for $100, know that, talk to them and be like, I want this, or like I'll switch, right? Know what everybody else is offering, know what your friends are paying. You know, information is power when you have that discussion. I'll also just say that um being nice, I know this sounds really stupid, but if you're being nice, a lot of times people are people and they'll be more willing to help you. Like on T-Mobile's Reddit, for anybody that follows that, I see people all the time talking about employees at the stores hooking them up with like these like special discounts that they get on their multi-line free line deals where they get like an extra $30 off. Super incredible. It's something that like employees usually have as like a perk in their back pocket to close a sale. But sometimes if you're really nice, someone will help you out if you're in a tight spot.
It's so true. I want to take a moment to just emphasize that, one of my friends is a T-Mobile customer. And, he's been really great with them. And he reached out one day and was just kind of like, hey, what can you do to help lower my bill? And the T-Mobile representative was also super nice and just like, you're getting the best deal possible with, your free line promotions, but I can give you a one-time $50 credit. And he was like, great, thanks. Like, that's amazing. And I will say, from my experience, at least, T-Mobile has had some of the friendliest representatives that I've interacted with. And, if you're nice to yourself, you're patient, these are real people. They have to help tons of customers with their problems and issues. And, having a friendly face or just being polite and courteous in online chats, I think it can go a long way.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the biggest one really is nice. It's like, I'm not joking, guys. Like, I know it's easy to get frustrated. I know it sucks to talk to the robot and be on hold, but at the end of the day, I know it's hard to think, but it's just another person on the line. And kindness goes a very long way, being patient and understanding. Because sometimes, too, no matter how nice you are, there really might not be something they can do. But it's not because they don't want to, right? Like, do you really think the person on the other end really cares about, AT&T or T-Mobile making an extra $10, right? Do you really think that's the case? You know what I mean? So just be nice, get knowledge and information, and take advantage of different social media platforms around Reddit, T-Force on Twitter, plenty of tools, and just ask sometimes. It never all you can hear is no if you ask. A lot
Yeah,
of
yeah,
times
that's
people are
that's the
afraid.
worst.
So that's my tips.
Yeah, I think that's great. To recap quickly, we suggest purchasing your device unlocked at full price. Consider a gently used phone, maybe last year's model or one that's 1 or 2 years old, because you can get an excellent deal on that. I personally buy and sell on a website called Swappa. And if you're interested, you can find them linked in the show notes and in the video description if you're watching this live. We also suggested that you check your data usage. Maybe you're able to switch to either an off contract plan or I'm so used to calling them off contract, but really I mean like a prepaid plan or a plan from an MVNO, where instead of spending, let's say, $70 per month with T-Mobile Magenta, maybe you can get the $30 plan from Mint Mobile, and you can also reduce your data usage with those tips. And as Dennis mentioned, if you do need postpaid priority data, be aware of the available discounts: military, veteran, 55 plus discounts, student discounts. Be aware of what the new offers are for new customers, and just be polite. So I think those are some great tips for trying to reduce your cell phone bill in 2021. Use Wi-Fi as much as you can and hopefully save up and get something awesome that you enjoy. All right, Dennis, I think we should move on to some news topics for today. What do you have queued up for us?
Let's hit it. So, the first thing I want to talk about is Verizon Fios has introduced what's called their Fios Forward program. And basically, this is Verizon Fios equivalent to what other providers have done, like Comcast with their Internet Essentials program. It's targeted at low-income individuals that are on the Lifeline program. They get a really substantial discount. And for example, you can now get 200 by 200 megabit symmetrical internet speed for $20 if you're a Fios customer that qualifies on Lifeline.
That's insane. I'll also add, this is without any data cap too. Like, this is true unlimited, no data cap plan.
Yeah, it's super exciting because Stetson, we've talked plenty of times now, but like the US has a huge problem with internet infrastructure and the digital divide. Like, millions of Americans, are underserviced. Millions of Americans have access but can't afford it. So this is just extremely great news to hear that Verizon's actually doing something now with this program, especially since there seems to be no end in sight for COVID and remote learning. So I'm super jazzed about this. Like, I'm actually generally super excited and really proud of Verizon for introducing this finally.
This is huge. This is huge. Yeah, I'm seeing the plans 200 for $20, 400 for $40, and gigabit speeds 940 down, 880 up for just $60 per month. I mean, that's tremendous, tremendous value, and really great on Verizon for kind of helping make high-speed internet access more accessible and more affordable. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, especially since too, like, a lot of times when companies do these promotions, a lot of times they'll peel back from like useful features. Like, I'm using Comcast because I'm most familiar with what they did, but like their Internet Essentials program from Comcast, right? They only give you 25 megabit per second internet for the download speed, and then 3 up, and it's $10, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Verizon is just straight up saying no. here's just a flat discount. You're getting the same level of treatment as any other customer would, right? Like if you were to call Comcast and try to apply for it, they make you kind of feel kind of like poo-poo, right? Like they make you feel embarrassed about it. Like they don't openly publicize it. There's a whole nother department they transfer you to. Like it's a really tedious process. Fios seems to be doing a way cleaner job of making it easier for people. And like I'm just really excited. I'm just really happy that this is happening because like it's crazy to me how hard it is to get affordable internet. If you're not one of the lucky few people that has like a municipal or like true competition. So like that's one of the first things I wanted to say that I was super excited about.
Yeah, that's huge. Thanks for bringing that up.
Continue on though with Verizon. How about the fact that they just added Discovery Plus for 12 months for their wireless customers?
Yeah.
And they added it for Fios customers too if you sign up as a new customer with them.
That's a great perk. Do we know what plans that's included on?
Yeah. So for Fios, it's for like all of their internet plans. If you're a new customer, you get it for 12 months. And then I believe it's for all the Verizon postpaid unlimited plans from Get More and Up, basically. And
Yeah, so to clarify, I'm seeing you get Discovery Plus free for 12 months with Play More Unlimited, Get More Unlimited. Actually, I thought there was a fourth one, but it's just Play More and Get More. And the Do More plan and the Start Unlimited plan are getting Discovery Plus for 6 months. So kind of like a sneak peek trial kind of thing, I guess. But yeah, that's still like a really great added value for being a Verizon customer. It's amazing they're able to just boom, like here you go. Here's like an extra perk with your plan. I think that's awesome.
now, Stetson, I know you don't traditionally watch a lot of live TV. So is there anything on Discovery Plus that you're kind of excited to watch or want to binge?
No, I don't even know what they have, to be honest. I'm still just dipping my toes into Disney Plus. There's so many shows on Netflix I gotta catch up on, to be honest with you. But I think I should have it, to be honest, because I'm part of a Verizon plan that I met on Reddit, and we should get it. Like I'm on the plan that should get it, so I'll check back and see what happens. But as of right now, I'm not sure what the shows are, and I'm not sure.
So basically, Discovery Plus is basically like all the channels that I can't remember the company that owns it, but it's like HGTV, which that's like your channel where they have like the Fixer Upper and like those different like houses channels. You usually see them at like doctors' offices and hospitals. They
Oh,
got
yeah.
Food Network for like Guy Ferrari, Discovery Channel, of course, and TLC for like 90 Day Fiance. And then I believe added on to that. Well, actually, not that I believe. I know that A&E is also part of that conglomerate of networks, which they have one of my shows that I've been binge watching, which is 60 Days In. I just got finishing up season 6. And then they also own like the Travel Channel, the Science Channel, History Channel for like American Pickers. So Animal Planet, they got a lot of like content that comes off of live TV, which again, I know probably a lot of people probably don't care about it. I guess a lot of people don't watch TV anymore, but I do watch a lot of TV. I think it's kind of cool. Don't know if I would personally go out of my way to buy it because I can get a lot of those channels and then some from something like YouTube TV, right? And then I'm getting my sports still. But it's still pretty cool.
It is cool.
I know there's supposed to be some exclusive content, I believe, that's going to be coming its way too. So that, depending on what ends up becoming exclusive and comes out, might change my mind. But at the moment, it's just a lot of stuff that comes off of cable, from my understanding.
Yeah, I agree. And this is a pretty good value. I mean, the Discovery Plus plan starts at $5 with an ad-supported model, and to get ad-free, it's $7 a month. So the fact that Verizon's including this is it's pretty nice. It's a little added perk. I don't know, like the content for all of these streaming providers, the content really is what needs to sell it for you, the consumer, and what shows and entertainment you enjoy to watch. But I think it's kind of cool that these big carriers are starting to find ways to incorporate these streaming services to add value with their plan because it kind of makes sense. You have a customer who's paying monthly, you got their credit card on file. Why not give them something else? Give them a little extra offer to consider.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely adds value, at least for the first year on Verizon's plans. I'll give them that. But I still think, honestly, when it comes to what I care about, it's important. The minute I started getting charged for that, I would be like, get rid of it.
Yeah, it's gone. It's gone. I mean, I'm in it just for the plan, right? And the fact that I'm getting Disney Plus is just a bonus. My personal take with streaming services is I would sign up for what I need or what I want to watch when I want it, and then I would just cancel and then switch to something else and like kind of cycle between them.
Yeah, I mean, we've had this discussion before, but to me, there's only like 2 streaming services that I absolutely have to have, and they're Netflix and HBO Max. And those are like the only two that like if I have to pay for something I have to have, they're those two. And then from there, I can get by with just those two because there's a lot of free ones, which again, I know you don't know about a lot of them, but like,
Oh yeah, I gotta actually get those checked out. That'll be
but,
my homework after the episode.
but Peacock is free and they got The Office. They just pulled it off of Netflix finally. And like Peacock's got some cool stuff that's on there that I like. Pluto, I told you about that. A lot of stuff that's on Hulu is just stuff that comes from cable and I can find other free ways to watch it. So like I can get by not having Hulu. It's not like they have any originals that I'm aware. If they do have any good originals, I'm not aware of them basically. So HBO and Netflix is like my dashly do. Everything else is just icing. Even Disney Plus. Like the only thing I watch, only reason I have Disney Plus is because my girlfriend, right? She lets me use her password. And the
That's
only
so
thing
nice.
I binge watched on Disney Plus was the whole Star Wars franchise. But
Oh,
I've seen Star Wars millions of times. So and I have like old cassette like VCR tapes.
yep.
So the only actual thing that was on Disney Plus was The Mandalorian, which they just finished up that season. So at least for another year, I'm straight. Like I'll be fine without it. You know?
Yeah, that was honestly me last year. My friend had it, went over, watched The Mandalorian, loved it, finished the season, was like, okay, that's it. Like, there's nothing else I need here. And now we're back. Mandalorian season 2 is out. Boom, I got Disney Plus, watched it, enjoyed it, and won't, I'm ready to, like, I don't need it, but it's included with my plan at this point. And so maybe I'll explore and find some other things I like. And I will actually say, I think this actually follows up to our previous episode. My TV has arrived, and I finally built out and completed my full home theater setup. I got my adult Lego kit, aka the TV stand, and I assembled that, followed those instructions, got the TV, carefully took it out of the box, put it on the TV stand, and hooked it up to our 3.1 sound system. So it's been awesome. And my flatmate and I, we caught up on Wonder Woman 1984, and we watched Soul last night. It was such a great experience. And I will say that it's great to finally have the TV set up so I can enjoy the holidays. Well, I guess the holiday season kind of over at this point. It's the new year. We're getting back in the swing of things. But it's been great just being able to, enjoy some content on a big theater-like experience. One thing that I wanted to bring up here, kind of circling back to almost our first topic, was Gazelle, the trade-in site Gazelle, which was a site you used to be able to use to trade in your old phones and devices, is ending trade-ins. Like, it's ending the very thing that got it started. I'm not sure if Gazelle itself is shutting down or if it's just the trade-in service. I know you can still purchase devices from them, but what's really cool is there are other services now that can kind of give you a better value. So I was working on a video. I don't know when it'll come out or if it'll come out at this point, but like best place to sell your iPhone. And I compared Gazelle with another website I found, OC Buyback, and I also compared that with Swappa. And what I found is that Gazelle was the worst value for you, the consumer, but OC Buyback was a really good value, very competitive, and then Swappa was the best value. So if you have the means to take photos, put that listing up and sell it on Swappa, you're getting the best price possible. But the convenience that OC Buyback offered can be worth it for some individuals.
Is which one is it that has all the kiosks? Like when you go into like a Walmart, they have those really fancy kiosks where you can put your phone in and it like scans it. Is that Gazelle?
Oh man, no, I feel like it's another company that I think runs those. I don't think it's Gazelle.
So here's my question to you though. Have you ever actually used one of them before? Like in a
Wait,
store?
wait. I think it might be Eco ATM, which operates the kiosks, but I've never used one.
Okay, well, I did one once just for funsies. I literally at the time put a brand new iPhone 8 Plus inside.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking literally this is like a week after the 8 Plus came out, okay?
Why would you do this, Dennis? Like, I'm cringing even just thinking about it.
I just wanted to see what it was worth.
Okay. You could get it back though before committing.
Yeah. That's the reason I did it. But anyway, that thing is a freaking joke. Do you know how much they offered me for my 8 Plus at the time? It was
like
a week
$15.
$35.
Oh my god!
Like I'm literally, it's only been 1 week in my hand. Like,
yeah, let's recap. That was when it came out. Like what, an $800 or $900 phone?
Yeah, it was wild. It was wild. I couldn't believe how badly you would get scammed. So I know we were talking about selling your phones before, but guys, for the love of God, do not rely on those kiosks. You can get much better deals selling it on something different, like Swappa or Craigslist or something else. Those things
Yeah.
are a scam, man.
Yeah, so the company to consider avoiding would be Eco ATM. That's the sort of the service that Dennis you were just describing. Swappa is typically not a super great deal. I used another site, Declutter. That was reasonable. The best one I found is OC Buyback. I'll give them a shout out. I don't even have an affiliate link with them, but OC Buyback worked well for me, and Swappa hands down is my favorite way to sell all of my phones. That's what I use. I get the best value. So yeah, that was kind of a little side tangent there, but kind of related to if you're interested in buying and selling, I like Swappa. Facebook Marketplace is also pretty decent.
Yeah, Facebook Marketplace is good, but I will just say one pro tip. If you're gonna do any type of like in-person sales, I know it would probably be hard with COVID, but try to like do it somewhere like open and like in a restaurant, like something that's safe. Because I do be reading stories, at least in my area, people like getting robbed.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy. And the other thing too is if you use Venmo, it's possible to have those transactions reversed, and there's nothing you can do as the receiver because the sender is just like, yeah, it was an accident or something like that.
Chargeback, yeah.
Yeah,
Cash is
exactly.
listen, yeah, pro tip. Cash, 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 cash. Not checks, not card, not Venmo, cash. If it's not cash, get out of here. Because I got really screwed because of the whole chargeback thing. I learned a good lesson from.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Dennis.
Oh yeah.
That's it's tough. Because I remember watching a video by I think it was Sam Sheffer who made a video like he tried to sell his phone, Venmo, hey, super easy, whatever. And then the whole chargeback thing, and he was basically like SOL. He was out of the phone, and that's a tough pill to swallow. Like that's not a fun situation to be in.
Yeah, and then what adds insult to injury is that when that chargeback happens, it ends up hurting you as like a seller even more. Like when when Facebook does like their algorithm or whatever for future like posts, it hurts you in that way. Certain companies have like an extra chargeback like fee that you end up having to pay on top of what you had to give back. Like there's all kinds of it sucks. It's great for the consumer, lots of consumer protection in place, but man, oh man, does it suck. So cash is king. Cash is king.
Cash is king, or do Swappa. I love that. They use PayPal. What's actually cool is you get paid immediately. And I love that. Like I get the little PayPal notification like, hey, you suddenly have like $454 in your account because your Galaxy S10 sold or whatever. And I love that. And you're like, all right, great. You go, you ship it, you confirm the shipping information. And so far I've done maybe like 10 or 12 sales at this point. Everything's gone really well for me. And I love that site. I'm noticing in the live chat on YouTube, for those of us who are joining live, someone's asking about eBay. eBay can work. I personally find they have higher fees. My understanding is it's a 3% PayPal fee and a 10% of the total value of the phone fee. Plus, you're typically paying for shipping. It depends how you want to list it. But I find that Swappa, from my experience, has typically offered some of the best value as a seller.
And on the topic of the live chat too, I just want to also make mention that Breaking Data just mentioned that Gazelle is the one that owns the Eco ATM that I was just ragging on.
That's insane. I thought it was the other way around, but Breaking Data, thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. Yeah, so it's kind of a poor system. I wonder what they're going to do with all their ATMs if they're no longer accepting trade-ins. Like they're going to decommission all those services, I guess. But yeah, I think the reason behind it is because of the upgrade programs and things like that. People are more likely to trade in their devices as opposed to reselling them. And I will say oftentimes, especially in this past year with AT&T offering the $800 and then $700 trade-in values, Verizon offering like $550 trade-in values, trading in your phone if you're a postpaid subscriber can be a really, really excellent option. But for everyone else, as we talked about, buying your phone outright, going prepaid, that's when you're going to want to sell it online or something like that to recoup that cost.
But now you're stuck in the financing deal again that we talked about.
Yeah, that's what you want to avoid. So it's like a big fat asterisk. And the worst part, not to rant on this too much, but I noticed that they typically make the terms a 36 month or maybe that's 3 years. So maybe it's like 30. I think it's 30 months. So it's right between that 2-year and 3-year mark. So it's in the middle between you just got the new phone, and then when your lease is up, like the new phone isn't out yet, but then the old phone is already like 6 months old. So yeah.
So since we brought up AT&T real quick, I want
Yeah.
to talk about AT&T's financial situation. I
Yeah, what's
know.
going on there? I just know they were in debt a lot.
Yeah.
So,
So
Dennis, update us. What's happening?
yeah. So in the community, there's been like this like reputation that AT&T was kind of in a tough, like a rock and a hard place for the auction. But they just did their quarterly earnings, and HBO Max had incredible growth. And basically, in a nutshell, I just wanted to tell everybody like AT&T is doing just fine. Like they are not in dire straits whatsoever. They had incredible growth with HBO Max. They're doing just fine. Yeah, they got a lot of debt, but as Snead always says, their assets are just incredibly valuable. Like they got a good debt to like income ratio going on right now.
Yeah,
So AT&T is posting some strong growth right now from their new streaming platform, which is kind of cool.
that's great.
Have you, Stetson, with your new TV? Did you said you used HBO Max, right? You have that, right?
So that's my flatmate. He has, I think they have like a great sort of an older system. So it's like HBO, but it includes the shows that are on HBO Max or something. I'm not exactly sure. He used that. I'm not the owner of that.
Okay. Well, did you watch the new Wonder Woman?
Yeah, we did see it.
Okay. What were your thoughts?
It was great, but not as good as a Marvel movie.
So you're in the same boat as me. So
Yeah,
if you had to give it a score though, out of 1 to 10, what would you rate it?
I'd probably give it like maybe a 6. I'd give it a 6. I mean, it was really great. The visual effects pretty good. Part of it I thought was ridiculous, but it was enjoyable. Like it's an enjoyable show. Would I watch it again? Probably not. So I think I don't really watch a lot of shows again, but that one I probably wouldn't watch again.
So from the catalog that you've been seeing on HBO Max, do you think it's worth the $15 that they're charging?
I think $15 seems kind of expensive in the streaming landscape, but when you consider Netflix is charging, I think it's $18 now for their 4K option, and I believe 4K is just included with HBO at this point. I think it's actually reasonable. With their catalog, with what they're offering, I think $15 is reasonable. I think it does kind of make the value of Disney Plus really shine. They don't have, quite as much new content, but their backlog like the catalog they've built up is really excellent, and the $8 a month for I think 4 screens at 4K is absurd.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think the $15 isn't bad since that's what HBO always charged on like the cable side.
Yeah,
So to me, $15 is worth it. And I was not only, by the way, did they include 4K support, but they have a lot of content that supports full Dolby Atmos and different stuff like that too. Like Wonder Woman was one of the things that had like full Dolby Atmos support. So if you had like a baller like speaker setup, like you were a happy camper.
yeah. Oh man, it was the subwoofer. I'm delighted with. It really provides such an excellent rumble. Like when you toggle between the TV speakers and the sound system that I have. I mean, it's not much. It's 3.1, so it's just two bookshelves, a center channel, a subwoofer. But it really just adds so much depth to the movie. And I just loved feeling that rumble. It was great. I'm hoping next year to get some floor standing speakers to replace the bookshelves and move the bookshelves off to the left and right side, so we can get kind of more of a full surround sound setup with a 5.1 system. But that's in the future. We'll see if I get there.
And Stetson, if you want some good shows to put on like your to-do list to watch,
Yes,
if you haven't seen it, a classic would be The Sopranos. That's totally binge worthy.
you got it.
Another one is His Dark Materials. If you were a fan like the Harry Potter kind of like mystical world, I think you would get into like the His Dark Materials kind of world that's crafted there. Uh Rick and Morty, by the way, is on HBO Max in case you haven't seen that. So there's a good comedy for you. And South Park is also all the seasons of South Park, with the exception of like a couple episodes, are also on HBO Max as well. So there's some good stuff for you there to watch. I don't know many movies off the top, but I think HBO Max does have I think they have like all the DC
Yeah,
movies.
I think it's like Warner Brothers is their big partner, so I think they got a lot.
Well, AT&T owns Warner
Oh,
Brothers.
well, that'll do it. So
Yeah.
there you go.
And breaking data, to answer your question, I believe Stetson, do you know to answer his question? Is HBO Max 3 streams?
The truth is I don't know. I have no idea. I wish I had known. So the question is, how many streams does HBO Max support? We think 3 at this point, but the truth is I don't know. Dennis, are you Googling this right now? Can I
I
stall?
am.
And then
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is 3. Yeah, it's 3 different simultaneously. It is 3.
okay.
That that's the one weakness, and I don't think there's an option to actually get more screens. So I guess that's one drawback. But realistically speaking, how often is it that you're going to have more than like a family of 5 using
Right. Yeah. Trying to stream exactly. And you usually have multiple people watching the same screen, like one big kind of setup.
Yeah.
So let's kind of round out, I think, this news and maybe just go into some fun discussion topics. A couple things I wanted to mention. T-Mobile, as I found today. So I'm working as a sneak preview. I'm working on a T-Mobile review video. I'm in the process of scripting it and creating a keynote presentation to get some graphics to complement it. I was on the T-Mobile website this morning as they were updating it. And so they're making changes, and it was crazy because they really botched the system. They were making some unconventional changes. They were changing the prices of the tablet plans. It went from $15 to $20 for essentials. It went from $20 to $35 on Magenta Plus. So yeah, keep your eye on the T-Mobile website. Check it out if you haven't seen it today. One thing I do like is they made a really nice comparison sort of chart so you can really see the differences more easily between the plans, and you can add smartwatches and tablets just to see what the pricing will be. But yeah, they kind of goofed in some areas as well. So keep your eyes there. Verizon has paused their 3D shutdown, and I'm not exactly sure why. I think it's because they have legacy devices that still need the 3G network. And I don't even think it's like older people with flip phones. I think it's like vending machines or things like that. Yeah, Dennis, like what else uses the 3G network at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of like, I don't want to say Internet of things, but it's a lot of like you said, like old vending machines, for example, like where they might have to be connected to the cell network to process transactions via card, right? Or lots of like little term things that are low data usage, but they only have support for those things. So it's a lot of enterprise stuff that's like out in the wild that's going to take time to be replaced and, upgraded.
I
And
feel like they should have seen this coming.
they probably did, but on the same token, it's kind of like one of those catch-22s where it's like, yeah, Verizon, yeah, we understand you want to do this thing, but we're also giving you like 25 million a year because of all of our machines. So like, you want to like cool your rocks, maybe,
Yeah. Exactly. All right, I have two more bits of news.
Is another one. Yeah. Home
security. Okay. Yep. Okay. Home security systems from Breaking Data. Thank you for that input. I think I've got two more bits. Simple Mobile just announced a new $40 unlimited plan. This was reported by Best MVNO. So, kind of competing directly almost head to head with what we're seeing from Visible. Pretty cool opportunity. This is a track phone brand, and they use the T-Mobile network for coverage. So pretty competitive, probably very similar to Mint Mobile's plan as well, though it is a limited time offer, only valid until March 31st, 2021. So if you're interested, it's there. And then I think the last bit of news, actually, I don't know if I had anything else. Dennis, and you had actually a really cool leak that you got early.
Yes. So Comcast decided to increase for the Northeast, decided to increase their gigabit speed tier to 1.2 gigabits per second on the download speed. So it's now 1.2 gigabits per second on download, and then 35 upload is what they marketed as. But Comcast also tends to over provision by 20%. So I did send Stetson a speed test result from earlier because it just took effect today for all new and existing customers. But I actually got 1,387.41 megabits per second on my download speed test and about 41.76 on the upload, which is pretty wild. I was telling Stetson, like, yeah, I was excited to have this increased speed results, but I really would like to see on the upload side. So it ended up getting me digging even further when I found out about this. And I was actually reading up on something that was posted on Comcast's corporate website. Basically, they're talking about like their vision for 10 gig symmetrical speeds over their hybrid coax network. And the way they're going to do this basically is with virtualization on the network. And and Stetson's sharing the speed test result, guys, right now. I know our cameras are kind of not our cameras, our phones are in the way.
Yeah, sorry about that.
But that's the results that I got, so you guys can kind of see. There we go. That's better. Yeah, that's the results that I got from the speed test.
So we should just read these out for anyone listening in the audio format. It's 1,387.41 megabits per second down and 41.76 megabits per second up. Dennis, my question, you said, what are, this improvement is great, but what were the speeds before? Like, what were you getting before this?
So before this, I was getting like around like 1100, 1200 on the download, and the upload was the same. Because like I said, Comcast already over provisions their speed tiers. Like when you sign up for Blast, for example, which is 300 meg, you'll probably see like 360.
That's great. That's pretty awesome.
So like they're really good about that. And Fios is the same way. Like their 200 by 200 tier that they sell, if you run a speed test for most, at least here in the Northeast, you're actually going to get 300 by 300. Most providers over provision their speed tiers. And I bet you it's probably the same for you, Stetson. Like do you have a PC with a multi-gig Ethernet adapter, like a 2.5 gig NIC?
I have absolutely no idea. That's the truth. I have no idea.
Oh, well, if you did, I'm sure if you had a proper setup, I'm sure if you ran a speed test, you'd probably be getting over your gig that they marketed as.
Yeah. Yeah. I would hope so. I mean, it's been great that I even have just those symmetrical speeds, gigabit per second down, gigabit per second up. It's insane. Really appreciate that.
But yeah, I just wanted to share it. Like, honestly, I found out literally yesterday, so wasn't that exciting. And I know it's only today, but I just wanted to let everybody know, for like anyone that has like Comcast, which I'm sure there's probably millions of you, they did do actually something nice for once for free. They increased their speeds. So that's exciting and cool.
Absolutely. Des, are we ready to move on to like just kind of a general discussion Q&A kind of hangout sesh?
Yeah, we can do that. Let's do it.
Sweet. So I think first we got to address the Patreon question. This one actually comes from someone in the live chat right now, Breaking Data. Breaking Data, thank you so much for your continued support and this excellent question. The question reads, what is one moment in cellular history that you feel changed the market and industry? One caveat, can't be the iPhone launch. This can be something from the carrier side or from the device/tech side. And also doesn't have to be a good change. So it could be a bad change as well. I thought this was a great question. Dennis, do you want to go first? Should I go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. So for everybody that's been listening, this shouldn't surprise me too much because I'm a nerd. But the thing for me is when Qualcomm got their patents for all the different all their different modem technology, specifically though when it came to supporting CDMA networks here in the US. That was a pivotal moment that essentially clenched them into being a monopoly, and is the reason why today every manufacturer essentially has to use a Qualcomm modem. Basically, they got all these different patents that made it difficult for anybody to ever come in. Like, for example, we know Intel used to make modems for iPhone there for a short period of time, and they were investing in that for a long time. But Intel never supported CDMA networks like Verizon or Sprint. It was only GSM. And the reason was because if Intel wanted to support CDMA networks, they would have had to pay Qualcomm a substantially high royalty, basically, to use that technology. So it made it pretty much not worthwhile. And it ultimately led to their downfall.
Yeah, what happened to Intel's modem making division?
Basically, it was an inferior product because there was lots of different tech that they couldn't utilize. And outside of the iPhone, Apple using it there for that short period of time because they're a little corporate spat, it kind of went in the wayside. In fact, that arm of Intel has actually been sold to Apple, and it's rumored that Apple's to be working on their own modem. But even still, I'm not like that optimistic, since it's probably just going to be modems just for Apple iPhones, and it's not going to affect the whole industry as a whole.
Yeah, the industry. Yeah. So everyone else, all the Android manufacturers, they're still using Qualcomm modems, and this goes for all phones, like Chinese market phones, like Indian market phones, North American phones, European phones. Like pretty much all phones are using Qualcomm.
Pretty much all markets using Qualcomm, although the EU is a little bit of an exception since GSM is the normal standard there. I actually think Samsung does make their own.
Okay, yeah. They have what? They have the Snapdragon, and then they use the
Exynos chipset, and then Samsung has their own modem, I believe. But
okay.
For the US in particular, like focusing on like the US specifically, Qualcomm is like the de facto, like this is it. Like there's no real other choice, and And basically, the reason why this is so pivotal is because it's kind of the reason why you're seeing phone prices as high as they are, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it's $1,000 because the modems are so expensive for millimeter wave 5G and the new 5G antennas.
yep, and also kind of sucks too because carriers could do all they want with investments, but they're basically at the end of the day at Qualcomm's beck and call to make a device that actually supports, say, like N41 when it rolled out or different things. So that was a pivotal moment in the cell phone space for a negative. Now, Stetson, I'm going to go ahead and let you be you and be rosy and perky. Go ahead and tell them what you think.
Yeah. So I had something. I thought this was such a great question, and what immediately came to my mind as like one defining moment in cellular history, and this is when John Ledger he got up. I don't know if it was a stage or if it was just like some T-Mobile store or whatever, but he got up and he announced T-Mobile One, and I thought this was huge. This is part of the Un-carrier 12 announcement, and this is where T-Mobile basically said, I have some quotes here. So John Ledger says, quote, "This is huge. This is historic, and this will change the industry forever. I declare the era of the data plan is over. We are completely destroying the whole concept of a data plan. It's gone." And then he took these buckets, like actual buckets that were on the table next to him, and just threw them on the floor. It's like, what even are these? I thought this was such an important moment in telecom history because it basically changed the game for the consumer landscape of what plans we have today. And T-Mobile kind of upset this model, this historic data bucket model, where at the time I wrote these down, Verizon was offering 2 gigs for $35, 4 gigs for $50, 8 gigs for $70, and 16 gigs for $90. Like, that's insane. Just 16 gigs for $90. And this is before you had to pay the line access charge. So you bought your data, and then you had to pay to get your phone access to that data, which is ridiculous. And that was $20 a line. So you were looking at really, really expensive rates, $55 for 2 gigs, $70 for 4 gigs. And T-Mobile just came in here with their T-Mobile One plan, $70 a month, all taxes and fees included, unlimited everything. And I thought that was huge. That was, to me, such a game changer. And now we see unlimited plans from Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, of course, still with their unlimited plans. So I thought, to me, that was just like a defining moment where I'm not going to say the whole industry, because data buckets are still very real for a lot of like the smaller carriers. They have set data amount plans, but the sort of here's your shared data amount line access charge model, it didn't go away, but it really the focus became on these unlimited plans. The Verizon get more, play more, and do more. AT&T unlimited starter, unlimited extra, unlimited elite, and T-Mobile Essentials, Magenta, and Magenta Plus. So that was my moment. I thought it was a good moment, and I actually remember doing a video on it. T-Mobile One Explained, just kind of talking about the features they added and what it meant for the industry.
Yeah, I mean, even the like buy the gig plans of today are significantly different. Like, you use your gig and then you get throttled like 2G. You're not paying like $20 for every additional gig, which
Yeah, for the that was actually the big thing that T-Mobile was marketing with their T-Mobile One plan. Is what happened before is you had this data amount, and if you went over your data bucket, you got charged overage charges, which was ridiculous. And if you didn't want to pay overage charges, you can pay Verizon for what they called safe mode at the time, which would prevent you from incurring data charges. But it was just, I think John Ledger, he said some very colorful language in the video, which I thought was actually pretty accurate and funny and entertaining. So, whether or not you like T-Mobile or maybe you have different feelings toward them, I think they've done a great job improving their network, and I actually really respect this movement that they did. I think it's much easier for consumers now to have everything just be unlimited. You don't have to think about it. And what they did at the time was a really great value, and I think actually continues to be a really great value. And what's
yeah.
interesting is, Dennis, I was doing some research into this, right? Verizon is still offering data bucket plans.
Oh yeah, we had that discussion and they're terrible value.
Yeah, they're terrible value. So get this, the line access charge has actually increased. Before it was $20 a line. It is now $25 per line. The current plans are better. So it's 5 gigs for $30 and 10 gigs for $40. But then you add in your line access charge and you're looking at $55 for 5 gigs or $65 for 10 gigs, which I don't even understand, because Verizon literally offers, like, Verizon prepaid unlimited everything for $65 a month. Like, this just, it boggles my mind, but they're still here. So something to look out for.
And what's funny is if T-Mobile didn't go down the uncarrier path, I think it's safe to assume that unlimited data plans would have went the way of the dodo bird.
It could be true. Yeah. Well, what's interesting is we kind of had like a peak and then a fall, a sharp decline, right? Where carriers were like, all right, here's true unlimited data plans. And anyone who signed up then, oh man, did they get the good deals. Wait, was that you, Dennis? Like, did you get that like true,
Yeah.
like insane priority amount? Oh my God.
Yeah, no, I was on Simple Choice when Simple Choice was first thing because I came back in 2013, and then Simple Choice became Simple Choice North America. And then I kept that for a while because when T-Mobile one was first introduced, it actually was a terrible deal because you had to buy those unlimited day passes every single day. Even if you got like their good One Plus plan, you had to sign up for every 24 hours. You had to re-up on the HD day passes, so you had like full priority data. Thankfully they ended up tweaking that, and I got grandfathered in on like a good T-Mobile One Plus plan. But yeah, the new unlimited plans of today definitely come with a lot of caveats. Mine doesn't have a video restriction. Like if I want to watch 4K, I can watch 4K. Like I know when Sneed does speed tests on fast.com, he gets capped at like 8 meg. Yeah, it doesn't happen to me on my plan. So
Wow.
I get the
That's really
full
nice.
like 100 meg or whatever's available.
Yeah. You can get around that with VPN. Shout out to affiliate link ExpressVPN, expressvpn.com/Stetson. But what I've noticed is that does increase latency. So if you're gaming, that's a no-go. But for video streaming, it's typically fine, where you can stream your content. Like it takes a little bit to buffer, and then you're good to go. Okay, what's interesting? This is a big red flag you actually got to look out for. I was just chatting with Black. I think it's called Black Wireless or Black Mobile. I'm adding new plans and carriers to my website, bestphoneplans.net. And I was chatting with a representative, like, hey, what does this plan include? Can you stream at HD quality? And the rep's like, yep, full HD quality is fully supported. And, I followed up like, are you sure? I just wanted to check. I know some plans like T-Mobile, they cap their speeds at 1.5 megabits per second, which is enough for standard definition 480p video streaming quality. And the rep's like, yep, it's capped at 1.5 megabits per second. It's like, well, wait a minute. You just said it supported HD streaming. And what's happening is basically the plan can load HD videos on YouTube. You can select the quality. It just takes a really long time to load and buffer the video. So something to look out for. Like, I'm pretty sure even my plan will support up to like, it'll support the higher resolution for YouTube where you can actually select that. But it'll just take time to buffer on YouTube. And I don't think it'll support it on the other streaming platforms where you can't really choose the quality as easily.
On Android, you pretty much always can. Like you can go on Netflix, for example, go to settings, click on like best of very, like you can tell it what to load. But I'll just say 1.5 meg isn't getting you HD. Like at best, you might be able to eke by 720p, maybe 720p, but not 1080p or better. Like it's going to be so unbearable. You're going to be sitting there on the buffer wheel for a solid like 10 minutes, and then you're going to watch like 30 seconds and then be on that buffer wheel again. It's just not a good experience.
Yeah, no, it definitely was true. Yeah.
But off of that topic, I got a random one kind of for you. So I don't know if you've been paying attention to news, Stetson, but the government did get their act together a little bit and did pass a bill now for a $600 stimulus check to be rolling out.
Sweet. That's what I like to hear.
My question for you is, what are you going to do with the $600?
That's a great question. I'm actually not sure if I'm eligible because I think my parents claimed me as a dependent on their taxes last year. So,
well, pretend like you pretend
if I had $600
yeah,
gifted to me. What would I do? That's I don't know. I mean, I feel like I just spent so much money the past couple of months moving to Colorado. I upgraded my camera. I got some new lights, and I did all of that. I got the whole TV entertainment system. So I'd probably consider saving it. If I were to try and buy something fun, I mean, most immediately what comes to my mind is Galaxy S21 is right around the corner. I bet you I have my pre-order in, so I'm on a wait list to eventually pre-order it. So I'd probably put it towards that if I'm being honest, because I think that'll be an exciting phone. It'll be helpful to have for the channel. So that's probably what I would do with the $600. Dennis, do you have anything more fun than what I have? I mean, I feel like I was just so realistic. There's nothing crazy, nothing special.
I really wanted you to be like, you have to blow it. I was hoping for something exciting, but I mean, I'm
excited about the S21. It's not like the most exciting purchase of all. I don't know.
I know, but it's like towards your business. I was gonna say, for me personally, if I had the $600, I would try to net me like a PlayStation 5.
Oh, Dennis, I love that. You know what I'd also say? I would probably try and support some local businesses, maybe eat out at a couple restaurants, and then just be like super generous with the tips.
Ooh, that's a good one, man. Too bad all the so Pennsylvania is back on lockdown, or at least Pittsburgh is. So
Yeah.
all my restaurants are like closed right now, but that's a good
Oh
one.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like they really could use it, more than I could at this point. And stimulus is supposed to help stimulate the economy, so I feel like that's what I would be doing. So I guess those
support
are
my
my
local
ideas.
Best Buy.
What?
I said I'll support my local Best Buy. With you.
Do you guys accept tips?
Yeah, here's $500 for actually giving it to me, and then you can just keep the change.
Yeah. No, okay, wait. Back to the TV story. So what happened was I bought this Roku TV. It was a TCL 6 Series R635. Great TV, great value. And I signed for the Best Buy credit card. So I get that initial offer where you get 10% back on your first purchase. So I got 10% back on this. It was open box. So it was a $900 TV, but I got it for $720. And that was 10% back. So I got basically like $70 of credit, which I then used to buy my speakers, which I thought was a clever move. But what happened was the Roku TV, the TCL TV died. And so I had to return it. And so now I have like negative credits, negative reward points. The good news is they haven't charged me anything, right? So I still apparently got to keep my discount. But all of my future Best Buy rewards points are going into this like black void of negative points until I get that evened out.
Wait. I thought you got the TV from B&H. I'm so confused.
Yeah, so I bought 2 TVs. The first one was the TCL 6 Series R635, and that was the $720 one. But it broke. It died. The panel just wouldn't turn on. And so thankfully it was within my return window. So I just walked into Best Buy and returned it. And they gave me a full refund, which is great. I really appreciate that. And then after that poor experience, I said, hey, maybe it's time to switch brands. And I know B&H offers a really great program with their Paybu credit card where I don't have to pay sales tax. And that's like 8%. So that's a pretty good discount. So I bought the Sony X950H from B&H Photo Video. And that's how I ended up with that TV. And we have it now and it's amazing. I love it.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Well, since we're having TV talk, in 2019 on Prime Day, I got my dad a nice like Fire TV.
Yeah.
I believe it was made by, I can't think of who it was made by at the moment. It's slipping my mind, but got a good deal on it. I got it for like $200. It was like a 42-inch, and this was a good upgrade for him because he had like a round back TV in his bedroom with like a flat screen. So I got it for him, got it set up, and like he got it set up and stuff, and it had the worst dead pixels you could imagine. There was ghosting all over the place. He thought it looked incredible. I'm like,
what?
I know it's my dad. He's old, but I was like the first thing I noticed when I walked in is this just huge like purple halo at the bottom of the screen. I'm just like, how do you not notice this? Thankfully,
so prominent, yeah.
Thankfully, it was pretty easy to get it swap-a-roonied, and the next one was fine. But man, you got to be careful with those like cheaper TVs. I got to tell you.
Yeah. What I was talking with the Best Buy employee about it, and apparently TCL manufactures their own panels, which is how they're able to cut down on costs. But where they're cutting out on costs and the manufacturing quality control, things like that, could be kind of a red flag as to kind of the longevity of those panels. So yeah, we have a comment from Breaking Data kind of showing something similar.
He said he wants it to
die. He wants
it
to die. Never mind. Yeah. No,
hey.
I mean, they're great value, but I think they're unproven to me in terms of longevity. And this is where Best Buy was like, yeah, we have our Geek Squad protection program. It's like, all right, I'm just going to take that Geek Squad protection program pricing and apply that to the Sony TV I'm going to get.
Hey, but Stetson, I have a quick question for you. So
yes.
with around the corner, what do you think the future is going to be for TV tech? Like, where do we go from here? Like 4K was already used. Like, what's the next thing in TVs, right? Is it more resolution or what is it?
It's going to be micro LED. So we already saw a pretty huge push. There's 2 kinds of LED terms you'll see. One is mini LED, and this is referring actually to the backlight of the panel, where you have a bunch of mini LEDs, small little squares of LED light that are illuminating the back panel of the LCD screen. And what this does is it allows certain LEDs to turn off in darker, if you're displaying a darker image, sections of the image are darker, those LED backlights can individually turn off and help provide enhanced contrast ratios and overall better picture quality. So that is mini LED. Micro LED is more similar to OLED, where the pixels themselves actually emit their own light. Now, the difference between mini LED and OLED is OLED stands for organic light emitting diode. That means it's using organic matter to create the light and to create that insane infinite contrast ratio where the pixel will actually turn off when it's not in use. The problem is because it's organic matter, it will degrade over time. And that's where you get things like burn in take effect. And this is, I want to say, mostly noticeable in smartphones. A lot of TV manufacturers are using pixel shifting technology to try and prevent burn in, but it's a real thing for OLEDs. Like they have superb quality, excellent response time, but burn-ins, one of the compromises, micro LED is basically OLED, but it's not using an organic compound. It's using an inorganic material, so it will effectively eliminate the burn-in problems. And they can have really, really amazing applications. You can get very slim bezels on them. So I think that's the next frontier, like 8K micro LED. That's my take.
I think that that's probably the most rational approach.
Yeah,
However,
are you dreaming big? I'm like in reality right now. I'm firmly rooted in what I see around me.
yeah, I mean that's
What's
the
the dream big
logical
approach?
For me, I was picturing. So we already seen like see-through TVs as a thing. Like Linus Tech Tips showed off one of those, but I'm picturing like almost like a see-through like hologrammy TV where like some AR stuff goes like goes down, right? Like you're like maybe you're watching a horror film and you're incorporating like some stuff that's going on in the real room so that each time you watch like this type of content, it's like a personalized experience, similar to how like gaming is interactive. I'm picturing some type of leap forward in like interactivity when it comes to consuming our content, similar to what 3D was trying to accomplish but failed. I'm
Sure,
picturing
sure.
something like that.
I could see
Um,
that. I think VR is really where I think that immersive experience is going to shine. And as a sneak peek, we hopefully will have some guests on the show at some point in the future to explore that concept and that idea further. But I think in terms of immersive, engaged entertainment, I think VR and AR are probably going to be the way to go.
that is definitely true. But VR, I have a vibe. I showed you this when we first talked,
Yeah, yeah.
and VR is definitely something that requires planning and preparation. I'm just picturing
And
like
the
plopping down
space.
on the couch, and then like I said, like maybe it's like some horror movie, right? Like
Well,
there's some.
my question is, what did you think of 3D TVs? Because we had those at one point. I remember CES, like, I don't know, 2015, 16, like 3D, like, here's some glasses, like, you're getting a 3D image. So, how do you feel like that fits into this idea you're talking about?
3D sucked at home, to be honest.
That's
Um,
how I felt too.
3D was cool though in movie theaters, like specific. Well, I don't know if you want to call it 4D, but down in Disney World, right? They got
Yeah.
like these like 3D shows, but like when you're watching the thing happen, like they're spritzing you with the water and they're doing different things like that. Like that was legit. Now, do I want that in my house? Like getting wet?
Yeah,
No.
all right, we're setting up the spritzer. Oh man, this is gonna be a big movie.
No. But what I'm thinking is like, so you've used Snapchat filters before, right? You know,
Yeah.
you take a picture and you got the little dude dancing on your desk and it's like interactive with the environment. I'm picturing that, but for TV content, right? Like I don't know how you would smart analyze or incorporate AI, but like let's just say there was a commercial for Tide. I'm just using a random
Sure,
example right
yeah.
now. They're like, yeah, Tide will get the stands out in no time. And then somehow your TV is able to show your carpet with like the stain on it and the Tide doing a thing. Like some way incorporating your environment so it's a little more personalized. Or you're watching like a super scary movie and literally when the wall is being broken, it's not just some random generic movie theater wall. No, it's your wall that looks like it's cracking open. Do you see what I'm saying? Almost like a
Sure,
protective.
yeah. Like finding a way to bring your context into the film or almost to bring the film into your world as well.
Yeah, just to make it that much scarier. Like, I guess that we're getting in the hologram world, but like, I don't know. It would be cool if we came out with a really revolutionary, like, not so much gimmicky, but like a true revolutionary way to further expand entertainment on the couch setting that doesn't require like some type of headset.
Yeah,
But
yeah, we'll see. Well, what I'd like to do now is actually open up any Q&A to the live audience that's watching us on YouTube. We live stream the podcast every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And so for anyone who's watching us live, I'd love to just open it up to you all. Let us know if you have questions, and we'll happy to discuss. Um, yeah, and anyone else who definitely wants to make sure they get their question answered, we have the Patreon page where we always prioritize those questions, and it's been really fun. So consider supporting us there. Link in the show notes. But yeah, as some of the people have commented, Breaking Data is looking to upgrade his TCL TV, and David Hall is sold on micro LED. So I'm sold too, but it's not ready for prime time. We actually might see micro LED in laptops, I think, sooner this year. We're kind of waiting, I feel like, for the chat. So we should probably have
while we're waiting on the chat, I had some other things to talk about though.
Yeah, absolutely, Dennis. Go for it.
So, Stetson.
Yes.
You told me you have Stadia. You're kind of big on like
I
streaming.
do. Yeah, I love cloud gaming.
Well, have you heard about Shadow PC?
I'm not sure how you want me to answer this. No, I had not heard about Shadow PC, and then you probably told me about it, so now I have. But Dennis, please tell me more about what Shadow PC is, and what the audience should know about it.
All right, so Shadow PC is similar to Stadia and GeForce Now. They market themselves to gamers. Basically, you pay for a subscription, and they give you a virtual machine on their servers where you get but you get the full Windows experiences, which makes them different. And basically, you can game on it, and that's what they're marketing. However, I was telling Stetson, because I was thinking kind of creatively, that since you have access to a full Windows environment, if you were someone that, say, lived in an area that you had poor internet connectivity, like, for example, I'm stuck with my paltry 40 meg upload, I could actually record content using their Windows virtual machine and upload using their Windows virtual machine and take advantage of their bandwidth, which when I ran a speed test using their service, I got symmetrical 2 gigabit internet using their virtual machine. So that was just something kind of creative and cool that I was thinking about as like a future way to do things for people that are kind of like living in like maybe really crappy areas for internet, maybe take advantage of like a virtual machine to do your work and stuff like that.
The caveat we've discovered though is you actually need really fast internet.
Not that well. I think the minimum requirement was what, 15 meg down, 5 meg up. The part that was really tight was with latency. They say you should have a max of 30 milliseconds. So you have to live close to a data center. But for the type of use case that I was posing, I don't really think it's going to matter if there's that much of a delay. Latency only matters with gaming, but if you're just, chalking up an upload for YouTube, do you really need to have the most responsive click in the world,
Absolutely not. Yeah, I mean, if you are doing like screen recordings or something that you can create the content on the virtual machine, then upload it on the virtual machine, that would be insane. Or if you're doing a game that's more single player and relaxed where latency is less of an issue, I feel like that could totally work. And that's actually probably the biggest barrier to cloud gaming is making sure the latency is low enough such that you feel like you're actually in the game and you can compete and you're not, getting taken advantage of.
So you just clicked on a thing, by the way, from the live chat from Breaking Data again. Something about Shadow. So for everybody that's listening, Breaking Data just said I actually have Shadow Ghost hardware. Stetson, I'm not very familiar on Shadow Ghost hardware. Can you make me a little bit more familiar on that?
Shadow. I have actually no idea. I thought that was something that was related to what we were talking about with the streaming service you brought up, but perhaps it is different. So maybe we can pivot or Breaking Data. So go into more detail in a comment and we'll bring it up in the future. I thought that was related to like the hardware for streaming or something, but
Shadow Tech, I understand what he's saying. Sorry. It's just a different name. I looked it up. It took me to Shadow Tech. I'm stupid. I'm sorry. But okay. I got him now. But yeah, just so you guys know, if we're not sponsored with them in any way, in any shape or fashion, it's just something kind of cool that I knew about because of Linus. And I thought about it that it would be cool to talk about.
Sweet.
But I'm not really seeing anything. Oh, Dennis, I am locked into Ghost. Oh, you want to test it out? Hit me up. I could try mine. Okay.
So you don't need a PC. So it sounds like you could stream the game with this device where you didn't actually need the PC aspect, as opposed to like kind of like Stadia, I would almost say, where you get a controller and you get a Chromecast Ultra, you're good to go, as opposed to needing a proper PC to get access to the high-end gaming PC to then stream your game. That's my understanding right now.
Okay.
I'm going to pivot. We actually had a great question from David Hall. Are we going to get an AT&T video like the Verizon and T-Mobile priority data ones? David, this is a great question. For those of you who don't know, I did an extensive speed test comparison. I did one on the Verizon network, Verizon postpaid versus prepaid data priority. I did one that was even better, I think, on the T-Mobile network. I included video streaming quality, postpaid priority, the speeds after you're deprioritized, you've gotten over the 50 gig allotment. And David, to answer your question, yes, an AT&T video will be coming, but it's like really expensive to do, and I have to get the correct plans and everything. So I'm focusing on other content first in the beginning of the year. We're talking like best cell phone plans 2021. We're talking about T-Mobile review, some other videos that are in the works. So that will honestly be, I don't know, maybe like a late spring or early summer project. I just need to, I'm focusing on updating my website, bringing that to the next level. And that's the priority for now, but AT&T will be coming, and it will be expensive, but it will be awesome. So I'm super excited about it. I'm not seeing too many other questions in the live chat. So Dennis, maybe we should kind of close the show out and wrap it up here.
We'll give it another minute because we did leave one other question on the table. Do you want to talk about our last point that we kind of had set up real quick?
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
So this is just a fun question that I kind of prepped, but I'm going to ask it to you now, Stetson. What is more important to you if you were going to buy a house? Good wireless coverage from like cellular carriers, and I'll just say in this example, you have good wireless from all of them, or having fiber to the house. You can only have one or the other. So if you pick fiber, you're going to have like no cell service, or if you pick cell service, you're going to have like no like fiber or cable.
What? Okay, you have to give me the minimum speeds I'd be getting with the cell service. I feel like
it's going to be whatever's good at the time. So for 5G right now, we'll say with the cell service, we'll say you have like N41 coverage. You know, it's baller.
Well, I mean, like for internet, like because if I'm not getting gigabit internet, like what's the other alternative? Like, is it something like Verizon's 200, or is it like what?
I got you. So if you pick the fiber provider, you can get gig like that. You get
okay.
You get great. Actually, you can get 2 gig. You'll get Google Fiber. You got 2 gig.
Oh,
there you
snap.
go. So you got 2 gig from Google Fiber. Or from the wireless providers, I mean, you're getting the best of the best that 5G can offer. So, like, you're getting like 600 megabits per second from N41.
Okay.
Wireless.
Oh man. All right. This changes everything. So thinking about it now, here's what I would do. I originally was like, oh man, I love high speed internet. I would hands down go fiber. But if I'm in a location that's getting N41, amazing coverage, maybe if I'm lucky, even millimeter wave, I would say I would go with the cell phone plans in a new house. And I would be able to just use one of their, I say use, but there's probably like a huge asterisk, but I would try and get one of their Wi-Fi routers to use as, to provide a gateway access. So I'd use actually the cellular plan for my internet because the cellular plan would be so fast. That's my answer to that. So yeah. I would go for the cell phone coverage. T-Mobile actually just announced a new 5G router, or excuse me, it's a 5G modem, I think is the proper term. Correct me if I'm mistaken there, but I think it's by Nokia, I almost want to say.
I'm not too sure who it's made by, but yeah, they came out with a new one where it can aggregate like band. It supports like N71 and N41 now, and
yeah,
people
so that's what I would do.
Better speeds. For me personally, though, I go the opposite direction. I got Wi-Fi calling, so I pick fiber all day, every day.
Okay, well, here's the thing. You're not filming YouTube videos, and it would be so much easier like to just get all of the coverage in my house. I wouldn't have to travel anywhere. Just boom. Like I need this shot of Verizon 5G or N41. Boom, I'm at home. I got it.
Yeah, this is true, but the thing I'm thinking about is this. Well, you took it into a territory I wasn't expecting, but
yeah, well, I film it, so that's why it's like useful for me, and but for you, for everyone else.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it was a harder choice in my mind because the thing I was thinking about is this: if you have fiber, you're still stuck with like one ISP, right? So if Google
Sure.
Fiber one day decided to charge me $130, I'm SOL. But when you pick the cell phone service, because I said the caveat, you get good cell phone service from all of them, you can freely switch around and have some good competition there. But I would still pick fiber. Even if I was in your shoes, Stetson, I would still pick fiber because that 600 megabit per second internet from like T-Mobile it's still subject to, it's like still deprioritized.
Oh yeah, it's the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, so
100%.
like I would pick Glorious Fiber, which you have Glorious Fiber. You know how good it is.
I know how good it is. I was just thinking for my business, like having access to those kinds of network technologies and the convenience of my home, getting fast speed test for B-roll footage, that'd be good. So, and then I would be able to test out the home internet, which I feel like people will be curious about. And I'm not even sure if I'm in an eligible market, to be honest. So,
But I think it's pretty safe to call it a show, I would say, man. Let's
let me answer 2 questions and then we'll kind of plug some stuff and wrap it out.
all right, cool.
New prepaid plans. Jose Santana asks, are any new prepaid plans you're willing to test? Jose, yes. I have a little bit of a backlog right now. I'm going to be honest. I signed up when I did my T-Mobile speed test, signed up for Metro, T-Mobile prepaid, and T-Mobile. So I have to review those. I have Mint Mobile's unlimited plan, and I also signed up for Red Pocket. So yes, I really want to test more. It's going to be kind of I'm going to review them before my monthly bills renew and then kind of get out. I'm a one-man team right now. I guess Dennis is with me for the podcast, which I love and appreciate. But for prepaid carrier reviews, I would like to test all of them, and then it's just going to take a while. So there's stuff in the works. And the last question of the show, any plans to expand best phone plans outside the United States? Tim, excellent question. Thank you for asking. Yes, my goal for this year is to get cell phone plans in Canada on the Best Phone Plans website to really help my Canadian friends find an affordable option to meet their needs. I recently added eSIM plans to bestphoneplans.net, so you can compare the available eSIM data plans both in the United States and available elsewhere. So I'm hoping to expand there as well. So those are the final questions. Thank you to everyone who joined us on the live stream and to everyone who's listening at home. So I think we should kind of close this thing out. Thank you for listening. Dennis, I feel like I keep cutting you off. So
I'm sorry. I want to respond to Tim's question because I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I wanted to add. I was just going to say, Tim, just so you know, man, support us on Patreon. That way maybe we can basically get people to help us out that live in other countries, because that would be an ultimate goal of us, to get large enough where we could actually like hire someone from Canada to actually do the testing, right? Because me and Stetson, we're stuck in the States, and with COVID right now, we ain't going nowhere.
Got to reach out to Linus Media Group.
There you go. But seriously, guys, support us on the Patreon so we can do cooler stuff for y'all. We would love to test out the Canadian networks, Mexico, Korea, and everywhere else. I mean, that would be pretty epic. So follow us on the Patreon. Make that dream a possibility.
Yeah, Patreon link in the show notes and in the video description.
And now I'll hush. Stetson, go ahead, do your thing.
Yeah, we're just gonna call the show here. So thank you everyone for listening. You can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts, and every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern time, we will be live streaming on YouTube. Either way, that's gonna be it for this episode. I'm Stetson,
and I'm Dennis,
and we look forward to talking to you in the next one. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.